Hello, everyone. It's Connie Stewart with SimplySimpleStamping.com. Thank you guys so much for joining me. It's time for another video in my masterclass on easel cards. So today I have got a really amazing Z Fold Easel card. Guys, let me tell you, this is going to be the DIY card for the season. I've got two cards to share with you and some tips and tricks to share with you as well. So are you ready to get started with a Z Fold Easel card? All right, let's go get started then. The Z Fold Easel card is truly a unique card. I love this one. I'm going to have two different versions of the card to share with you. So you're going to want to stick around to the end of the video because the measurements for my second card are very different. So let me show you. This is the one we're going to make today. And when the recipient gets the card, you can see they open it. Lots of room to write your holiday message, right? And so it's a great card and it's going to fit into an A2 envelope, so easy to mail. But here's where the magic comes in. This tucks right down in here, and look at that. We've got this great piece of art. Oh, yeah, and it stands up. It is a fabulous way to really display your artwork. It's going to be what we like to call mantle-worthy for the holidays. So we're going to create this card, but like I said, I've got a second version that is a little bit different, and that's where it's going to easel up at the top. But I'm going to show you that one in a minute. Let's go ahead and create our Christmas card. I'm going to create this card with Night of Navy cardstock. And guys, the measurements are actually very easy. 4 1/4 by 11, so it's a half sheet there of Night of Navy. I have this scored at 2 3/4 and 5 1/2 inches. Now I've got another piece of Night of Navy, and this is 2 3/4 by 4 1/4. Now let's bring in some balmy blue. This is such a great color, and this is going to create the actual easel. This one here is a 3 1/2 by 9 1/2, scored in the middle there at 4 3/4. 4 pieces of basic white. This is 3 1/4 by 7 1/4, and I've scored it at 5 inches. This one here, 2 1/2 by 4, 1/2 inch by 2 1/2 inches, and then one more 1 1/2 by 2 1/2, but this is truly just scrap. We're going to do some punching out of that one. The last thing we need is some beautiful baker's twine. I have a piece that is 17 inches and another piece that is 8 inches. And that's what we're going to use to tie up our card and just kind of give it a little something on the front. My featured image or stamp set today is Joyful Flurry. So we're going to create this wonderful Christmas card. All my sentiments, all my images are all going to come from this stamp set. The last thing, and I want to go ahead and share this with you, punches. We're going to need some punches. And so I have got my double oval punch. I also have a lasting label punch. So those are the punches we're going to use to create that easel. Are you ready to create? Well, just in case you missed any of the measurements, don't worry. I'm going to have those for you in my free download. You'll find that at SimplySimpleStamping.com, or you can look down in the YouTube description for a direct link to today's post, and you'll find my free download there. So here's all my supplies. You're going to have all those measurements, so not to worry if you didn't get those written down. You can always come back and scan and rewatch the video. Order anything you need by clicking right here. All right, now that we've got that out of the way, let's get to creating. We have 3 ink pads today: Smoky Slate, Night of Navy, and Balmy Blue. We're going to start with the Balmy Blue, and I'm going to take one of my snowflakes here. We're going to ink this up, and I'm going to stamp this, 2 or 3 times. You notice I've got some grid paper underneath me because I am stamping off the cardstock. All right, now coming in with the Night of Navy, and I got a little trick here for you. So I've got a little bit smaller snowflake, but I don't want this one to be quite as bold. That's kind of dark. So I'm going to stamp off on my grid paper, and this is just going to kind of give me a little bit of a lighter image, a little lighter navy. So I think that looks really nice. Now we can come in with this tiny stamp, this tiny snowflake, and that one we can go ahead and do straight into that Night of Navy. So we kind of have 3 different colors there. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to use some Smoky Slate to create some snowflakes. And this, we're just going to simply come in, fill in, give us some really great little snow going on there. I'm going to set that off to the side, and now I'm going to work on this piece that has the score in it, okay? I'm going to give that a little crease with my bone folder. So the way this is going to go together, let me go ahead and bring my card back in. You can see my sentiment goes here. The shorter flap is at the bottom. So let's keep that right down here. And we're going to say, it's a season of magic and wonder. I'm going to do that in my Night of Navy, just up here at the top. That little 1/2-inch piece, I'm going to say, Happy Christmas. And then I'm just going to hand cut just a little flag here on the end. By the way, if you have the banners Pick-a-Punch, that's perfect for this one. So just a sweet little Happy Christmas. I'm going to clean that little snowflake because we're going to use it in a different color now. But I'm actually going to start with my sentiment, Let It Snow. And that little scrap, let's stamp Let It Snow. Now we're going to come in with the balmy blue and that little snowflake, and we're going to kind of go right over it. I'm now going to come in with my double oval punch, and we're just going to slide that little scrap in there, center that up, and we want the solid, not the scalloped. Don't worry, we'll be using that scallop here in a minute, but we're going to punch out our little sentiment. All right, and now that we have that, all of our stamping is done. Just a quick reminder, if you missed any of the measurements for the card, you can head over to simplysimplestamping.com, or you can just look down in the YouTube description for a direct link. I've got a free download for you there that has all the measurements, the supplies, the video link. You can just click on the QR code and go check out the video again if you need a refresher. And of course, a great place you can order all of your favorite Stampin' Up! Supplies. I would love to be your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. All right, now that we've got everything cut and stamped, let's get to putting this easel card together. Are you ready for the magic? Well, of course you are. That's why you came here, right? Okay, so you can see I've kind of created my Z fold there with my Night of Navy cardstock. And you're also going to want to give a score to that balmy blue, all right? Now, before I adhere this down, we're going to, I love to conserve my cardstock. So I'm going to take that lasting label punch. And guys, we are just going to punch that right here in the center of one of those flaps, okay? It doesn't matter which one. We're now ready to adhere this to the inside of our card. So, ick, right? We don't want that. But you notice how my card is opening, all right? We want to center this up here in the Night of Navy cardstock. So you notice my flap is down here and it's going to open this way. Don't worry, we are going to cover that up because we're going to take this stamped image on the inside and we're going to adhere that, centering that up. Now, you want to be aware of how this flap is going to come up and over. Now, you want to put this adhesive on at the end, okay? Because we want to be able to just fold that. Can you see how that's just going to fold right over? So now you can kind of see how your card is starting to come together. All right, we're going to do a little decorating here on the front, and we're going to come in now with the Night of Navy. That was the 2 3/4 by 4 1/4. And guys, you're just simply, in fact, I'm going to do this way. I'm going to kind of center that cardstock up all the way into my punch. Don't worry, we're going to hide that. We're not going to see it. What we need is this little scalloped piece, all right? I'm going to set that off to the side so that we can work on this. I've got my snowflakes here. I've got adhesive on the back. We're just going to hide that. No one will ever see that, totally hidden. Now it's time to come in with that baker's twine. I'm just going to add a little bit of adhesive here on the back and just give that a press. Now I'm going to wrap it 3 times. Let's see if I can adhere that down. I sure can. I'm a little long, not a problem. We can just trim that down. I'm going to put adhesive here on the back. This will go right here. So I'm going to put the baker's twine up at the top. That last little piece of baker's twine, we're just going to tie a bow underneath. Just tie it in a pretty bow. I love baker's twine. It does not add bulk at all. So it's really great for mailing. And let's face it, when we're mailing a lot of Christmas cards, we are not looking for extra postage. There's our sweet little bow. Do you remember that Happy Christmas? I've put some Stampin' Dimensionals on the back of that sentiment, and we are simply going to tuck this right underneath our bow. I'm going to let it kind of hang off there. It's easel time. Here we go. I'm going to layer my little scallop Night of Navy right here on the lasting label punch, my stamped Let It Snow right in the middle of that. And you're going to need some kind of Stampin' Dimensional. So you can use what I like to call the Stampin' Dimensional bones. If you're not familiar with that, that's this leftover piece that comes on your Stampin' Dimensionals. So when you're all done with the actual dimensionals, save these because we can use that. You can use Stampin' Dimensionals as well. I really like to use these strips. I think these little foam strips are great. They're thin. By the way, you have lots of bones on this one too. And we want to put those dimensionals down here, down at the bottom. Okay, that part's really important. So I'm just going to take some of this, just trim it down. I'm going to make sure I'm going down at the bottom of that sentiment. And there is the first part of my easel. All right, and it's on a Tuesday tip without some tips, right? I'm going to take this, I'm going to open up my card. Can you see there's my adhesive? There's my Stampin' Dimensionals. Center that up in your card. This part's kind of important because we want to make sure this part of the sentiment stays hidden. I'm just going to give that a gentle press first because I want to make sure that when I send my card, that stays hidden. Making sure it's right side up. I'm going to straighten it up. This is why I said don't press anything down, but I am going to straighten that up. Now what happens is I easily created my easel. I know that message is hidden. Plenty of room, like I said, for my message, but that's how we create that fantastic easel. Isn't that wonderful? All right, now I want to show you my other card that I created. Now this one, like I said, this one is different because it clips up at the top. But as I said, the measurements are very different. You'd think we'd just be flipping it over, but no, it doesn't work that way. So this is a great thank you card. I did this with the Nature's Harvest stamp set. And here you can see, thank you, a reminder to never forget how much you mean to me and so many others. There's our message. Everything is really going to be the same except for this. So I'm going to show you how I did this card. All right, this probably all looks familiar. All my measurements here were the same. Here's where things were different. Remember on this card how that balmy blue was a 3.5 by 9.5 and we scored at 4 3/4? Well, we're actually going to use that same measurement, but instead of scoring, we're going to cut. So we want two pieces that are 3.5 by 4 3/4. Now, this probably looks familiar. This is where we laid down just how we centered things up. I'm going to use Very Vanilla on this one. So all that went together the exact same way you've seen me do. This is where things are different. So I am now going to adhere the other piece of Cajun Craze right here on that flap. So what I find is best, I'm going to go ahead because I can use that as a guide. And now I'm going to adhere this, and can you see I'm just lining it up perfectly with that other Cajun Craze. Aha! Now you can kind of see where this is going. Now on this card, I use Night of Navy. For this one, I'm going to use some early espresso. I'm going to take my lasting label. We're going to punch right from the center. That is going to adhere on the front of my card. I've stamped thank you from that stamp set. And you see, I've just adhered these together, which you've already seen. Now I realize my image is not here. You're going to stamp and color that. Of course, this can be anything you want, right? I think you're getting the hang of it, that you're going to get creative. And you remember how we did where we tucked this under and adhered it down? Well, for this one, I want that adhesive up at the top, the dimensionals, that dimensional strip, we want it up at the top. So let's do that. So there's the thank you. I want that up at the top. How about this time I use some Stampin' Dimensional bones? And when you use that, let's make sure that flat side is down, but we're going to keep it up here at the top, just like that. I'm going to peel this off. And just like we did before, I'm going to lay that with the adhesive up there at the top. I'm going to bring my card down. Don't press it down hard just yet. Let's make sure everything, make sure we're holding it right side up. Everything's good. Yep, that looks good and centered. I'm going to give that a press. And now I've got my second easel card, only it clips up at the top. And I'm going to go ahead and show you the finished card here. So I did a little stamping. And this one, after I put the easel part together, I went ahead and I added just a little ribbon knot from the early espresso faux suede. I just thought that kind of topped it off nice. And you see we did a little coloring there with our Stampin' Blends. So my friends, you've got two different ways you can create the Z Fold Easel card. You can go down, put it at the bottom. You can put it at the top. Options, we love that. But what's great is this one is going to mail in a standard envelope. We love that. That is your Z Fold Easel card. My sincere thanks for joining me today. If you liked the video, would you give me a thumbs up on YouTube? I always appreciate that. And if you haven't subscribed, there's a great big red subscribe button waiting for you to click so you can be a subscriber and get updated on my videos twice a week. We'd love to have you join us. Thank you again for being here. Can't wait to stamp with you again soon. Bye-bye.